Cool. It's actually the first time I used Google Meet recording. This is cool.
Okay.
This is awesome.
Oh, but I have a question based on your experience with AI. For example, if I want to set up an AI agency,
Okay.
like what would you recommend to focus on, how to start? What is the best way to go with it from your experience?
Absolutely. Yeah. So from my experience, you want to focus on solving whatever problem an existing business already has. What are your current goals with AI? Would you say it's to go venture into software? Is it to build like an AI agency and have like a couple of clients paying you a couple of $1,000s a month? What are your current goals with AI?
Yeah, it's actually to set up services which will be demanded by businesses and to generate revenues like from the services.
Okay. Okay. How long have you been involved with AI at this point?
Probably I started in the beginning of the last year, I think, when I tested ChatGPT, and
Okay.
it helped me to solve some problem with coding. So
Okay.
that's when I became interested because
Yeah.
it really streamlined the process of coding.
Okay, right on. And what like inspired you to want to start like an AI agency?
Because I saw a great potential. Because when I did this coding, actually I'm not a coder. I was just playing with coding for
Yeah.
myself. And with the help of ChatGPT, and it was this version 3.5, I think, in the
Mm,
beginning of
right.
2023. Yeah,
Okay.
and being coder, being able to write a code which works like in several days, it was an experience for me that propelled me to explore these opportunities with AI.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a plethora of different AI services that you can offer there. And I think there are just more untapped industries. Tell me a little bit more about like your ideal clients. Who are you looking to serve and what problem is your AI solution going to solve?
Actually, my background is in finance, but I don't think that it's necessary to tie myself into one area
Yeah.
if there are better opportunities. You understand?
Yeah.
Like for offering. But as I see, it's like some optimization of business processes, which helps businesses to save money, time, and can deliver their services fast enough.
Awesome. So
enough,
you just want
quicker.
to go a little bit more general for now and start to test like different niches and see what sticks.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Oh, so you just want to go general, right? You don't want to stick to finance, or you just want to test different niches and different tools to see what sticks and what works with you.
Yeah, because at this point, I'm not sure that finance. So far, what I researched, I couldn't find so very good solutions for finance. Like this, maybe I didn't find, maybe there are, but I couldn't find something like that makes a very
Yeah.
big difference for businesses. But I saw other solutions for example, this for marketing. I saw there are a lot of good solutions for sales. So maybe for other areas. So I
Okay.
just wanted to look
Yeah,
what
man, that
are
makes
they.
sense actually, because a lot of people in like finance, they are already working within their own softwares. I'm honestly really thinking about like accountants or bookkeepers using AI tools. Like I'm sure that there are some AI tools that help them bookkeep or do accounting that really just reduce the mistakes of human error. But I think you're right, honestly, Rustem. People specifically in like the finance industry, and also this is the same with any other industry, they're not shopping for AI tools. They're not looking to buy AI. So it might be relatively hard to look into it. I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit more research, but you're 100% right. There are different businesses that almost demand it. Like digital marketing, for example, like one of the biggest pillars that I see within the realm of digital marketing. So we're really niching down to agencies, freelancers. We're looking at SEO specialists or like copywriters or whatever. There's different sub niches within that niche. Those people are looking for a couple of things, right? They're looking for content creation. So for example, if I'm an agency and I like want more content, organic content for my business, then AI can really be a solution for that, right? We can use various softwares to build like a content generation ecosystem using tools like, are you familiar with make.com or Zapier, which are like automation?
Yes, I already experimented with it, and I think it's very interesting.
There
Service,
is
yes.
so much you can do with make.com. It is crazy. But yeah, you can sell them content generation systems. And essentially, the cool part about AI is it's not like I'm going to build it once and then charge you high ticket for it and then move on to the next client. AI is constantly evolving and it needs constant monitoring, right? It needs constant monitoring. This is why it's such a lucrative business model for agencies, for example, to pay you every single month, because you're always going to want to fine tune the make.com scenario. You're always going to want to fine tune the prompt within ChatGPT's API. And then you're always like, and that opens up a new opportunity or a new door to expand your offer. I think what an AI agency really is like this like very flexible, fluid like service delivery where like you have 1 to 2 core AI services. For example, if you focus on content generation, you can help them install, for example, like Ideify, we're a content generator. A lot of small to medium sized businesses that rely on social media to get customers, but it's really expensive to do that, or they just don't do it. That's a very simple fix. And then another service that you can possibly offer for like agencies is I'm going to build like a content generation system in make.com to help you produce more content that's automated, that is like in a sync with their team to show them how it works, so that it would have to go through approval, like it's a workflow to go through approval for within their team. And then if you focus on those two services, you can either duplicate the results for other clients and then honestly sell that as a retainer. And you can make a lot of money doing that. And I've seen a lot of people do it. Content generation is one pillar you could focus on. Another one that I really think is a lot of opportunity is chatbots as well too. Building chatbots is similar to building a scenario inside of make.com where you don't have to code. That's the best part about an AI agency is like we don't have to learn how to code anymore. We can actually build some pretty innovative tools just by connecting a few APIs together. And the most important part about that isn't like the bells and whistles and the function of this AI thing. I will tell you, it's the way that it is productized and sold to the market. That's really the key here. And what I mean by that is if you have this chatbot, for example, or like this scenario, and you're able to slap a name on it and essentially just like white label your own AI solution and really just like leverage that to other businesses within that market, it's so easy to sell this thing. And the operations is a lot leaner than an agency, honestly, because typically agencies, they have employees or they have people doing service delivery where like you can keep this business model very lean because in terms of service delivery, it's just you have the automation and then you just have constant monitoring and feedback with the team if you're wanting to go that route. So the last thing is, so we have pillar one is content generation or content creation. The next thing is AI chatbots that you can build. I have a couple of tools I can recommend. And then the last thing that you can also build for businesses, if you wanted to focus on digital marketing, for example, is going to be AI workflows and automations. So this is really understanding like the business. And this is a little bit, I would say, more technical, but it requires a little bit more. You have to understand what the business does, and you have to locate inefficiencies within the business. And then you have to see, can I automate this? Is there anything where I can move this information into an Airtable database? like use make.com to build a scenario where like that information gets parsed through an AI, and then also it like sends over to the team, and it's just like faster. Businesses do pay a lot of money for that because businesses usually invest more into like innovation and efficiency. That's usually it. Like they know where technology is headed, and a lot of businesses know that they run very, the word is archaically. So this is why they pay AI agencies a lot, because we're really the cutting edge, like innovation, and we're like the innovation department. And at this point of my agency personally, I get asked a lot of the questions about technology and software, and it's not really like an AI agency. It's weird. Where I've helped them solve the problem with an AI solution, and then they just come to me, and then they just want to continue to innovate, and then we just have to figure it out. And then they pay me a monthly retainer on top of that, and I don't really do much because the automation's already built. So they just come to me and they're like, "Hey, like I'm one of my clients wants to use ChatGPT for this." I'm like, "No, use this software, and then or you can build this automation." And it's just like, "Oh, that's awesome!" And it's just a really cool business model. Does that kind of make sense? But those are like the pillars. So you have content generation, you have the chatbots, and then you also have the workflows slash automations that you can build within make.com.
Okay, okay. Also, the interesting thing, it's more technical question.
Sure.
How to, for example, in ChatGPT, you create this customized GPTs.
Yeah.
Customized. And is there like a quick and easy and workable like way of creating such kind of customized GPTs, but so that people like businesses could interact with them without using ChatGPT? Do you understand?
Yeah. So like you want to get it on like their website, for example?
Yes, website or app or maybe chatbot.
I have a software that's perfect for this. One of my favorite softwares for building chatbots is called Chatbot Kit. It can easily be, I can send you the link as well too. It can easily be deployed on any website using just like an embed code, a WhatsApp. It can be used, for example, if you're working with agencies. I know a lot of communication within agencies is via Slack. So you can technically, when most people think about chatbots, they think of like B2C chatbots, like customers interacting with the chatbot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Here's an interesting perspective as well too. You can also offer B2E chatbots. Have you ever heard of B2E?
No.
Business. So it's basically B2E is the E is for employees. So you can literally create like a support chatbot specifically for employees to interact with. And I've done this before because I'm going to give you a really cool AI service, AI chatbot that no one talks about on the internet. I essentially automated an entire IT department with one of my clients by training an AI model on a help document, on the entire company's help document, which is already like on like it was already hosted. So all that information is already hosted. So all of their employees communicate with that specific chatbot instead of skimming through hundreds of pages of the help document. So it makes it a lot easier. And businesses pay a lot of money for it.
Good solution.
It's such an innovative solution, but
Yes.
I will tell you, the best solutions are the most simple. That one it took me like 5 minutes to set up. I said in the prompt, scan this entire help document and then respond to employee inquiries, right? And then the prompt was a bit longer than that, but a little bit longer than that, honestly. But like you can create that in Chatbot Kit, and then you can deploy that specific chatbot on Slack. And then literally it's literally a channel inside of Slack where their whole team communicates with, and then it just answers questions based on that specific help document. And the cool part about that solution is, since that help document is hosted on a website, if the website updates, if that help document updates, the AI model updates with it. So I don't have to do anything. Literally with, for example, if I was going to create like it's called intelligent document processing. If I was going to train an AI model on a document that isn't dynamic, right? Like the website, for example, when you update a website, it has to be manually changed. Then unfortunately, in order to fine tune the model or update something, I'd have to go and do it and then manually change the information and then it re-update it. But the cool part about that solution is it automatically updates, right? So for example, if I'm doing this for any other business, if I were you and you're creating internal chatbots for employees to communicate with, right? Because all you're doing is really streamlining communication here. right? You don't have to go back and constantly monitor it because you just have to tell their team, okay, if there's something wrong with the help docs or like you want to add something, just update the website and then the AI automatically updates. So that's one of the coolest part about those sorts of chatbots as well too.
Yes, that's great. The thing is, the thing is, for example, here where I live, people don't use very much Slack. I know what is Slack. I used it. Maybe there are other kind of integrations that could work.
Yeah.
Or the simplest, I think, will be if people communicate with, for example, some site on which there is this small window in which they can write and receive some materials or information or replies.
Yeah, I know that with Chatbot Kit, the deployment options, you can do it on like a website, Slack, Discord, WhatsApp, Messenger, and Telegram.
Okay,
I know
WhatsApp is okay. Telegram
what,
is okay. It's used here, yeah.
yeah, what WhatsApp, most people in different countries use that anyways. That's really no issue. Another thing that you can do as well too is if you're working, I guess this can apply to really any business, probably more frequently in like clients in the United States, for example, is you can actually deploy on SMS. So like phone numbers. And one of the softwares that I use is called Go High Level, which I'm sure you're familiar with. Have you heard of that software before?
Yeah, I heard about it like 2 days ago or 3 days ago.
I'm going to be honest with you, that's probably my favorite software to this day. It literally does everything. It's so amazing. And they actually have a functionality on Go High Level called, it's like AI assistance. Let me check to see what it's called really quick. But Conversation AI, that's what it's called. Conversation AI is also a no code chatbot builder that you can build, and they actually have more deployment options. And the most important one personally is going to be that I think they sync it with Twilio, but essentially whenever I use phone number deployment options, it's typically going to be B2C, right? So customers are going to text, we call it the booking number, and then they actually see our AI assistant, and it's actually like a sales assistant that's going to be communicating with them. And the coolest part about that is that AI is actually synced with the calendar within Go High Level. So for example, if my clients are using the calendar and then a lead asks when the soonest availability for a consultation is, it's actually going to pull that information from the calendar and text them, which that's a huge thing because that you can literally replace an entire department with it. Technically you can, but there's another way to do it inside of Go High Level if you wanted to workflow it, if you wanted to.
Okay, I will certainly explore this high level.
Yeah, absolutely. Question, did you watch I actually recently made a step-by-step guide on how to build an AI agency on my YouTube channel. Did you watch that?
I watched your long video, but I don't know whether you're talking about it. But it's very quality video was,
Okay,
it was 1 hour or something plus.
was it this one? I just sent it in the chat. It's called How to Build a Profitable AI Business. That one literally, all the notes that you're taking today, I go through it step by step inside of that video. Let me know if you got the link.
Yeah, I'll go through it. Yes, I watched this video.
Awesome. Yeah, so I talked about all of the AI solutions and like the implementation. So like the softwares, like I talked about Chatbot Kit, I talked about the content generation system and all that, workflows and automations inside that video. So after this call, if you wanted to really just dive into there, and then it comes with a Google Doc. There's all the links and stuff like that you can check out. But that was probably one of the most intricate, detailed videos that I've ever made.
It's a nice video. I remember I watched it just recently, but I watched not the whole first, I think 30 minutes. So I have to continue. Like it's
Yeah.
I came to the part about niches, these things.
Awesome. Yeah. The niches, you were just there because after that, I went over picking an AI service. And then, I really broke down specifically after that what you're asking for. So when you're looking for an AI service, These are the pillars that we were just talking about. And then also the implementation, like the software behind that as well too.
Okay.
So yeah, make sure you go through that and then go through the worksheet as well too.
Okay, I will go through it certainly.
Right on. Yeah, that'll answer
Uh,
most questions for sure.
One question regarding your solution with, you said Chatbot Kit, yeah, which you
Yes.
made for B2E. Did you create like GPT inside ChatGPT or inside this chatbot?
You could just use Chatbot Kit. So yeah,
So
with the custom GPTs, you're only able to, you don't really have that many flexible deployment options. It's only within OpenAI because they wanted to keep it that way. But specifically with Chatbot Kit, you're able to deploy that literally anywhere without using OpenAI's ChatGPT. Yeah, it's super simple and it's actually like really easy to learn. It's not as complicated, honestly, as make.com trying to figure out how to put together an AI workflow or AI automation. Yeah, the only thing you can't like the only thing you'd have to do obviously with chatbots is provide it with some sort of knowledge base so that it essentially knows how to answer Q&A. And the easiest way to do that is by training the AI with one of your client's websites, for example. Because most people, honestly, like customers, whenever they go on websites, when they're looking for information, most of it can be answered through Q&A. Most websites have something called a frequently asked questions. So those are really just going to be the knowledge base of the AI so that it can communicate that with the customers. And again, you can literally drag it. For example, if you're doing a B2E, you're training on, let's just say like an actual document, like a Google Doc, for example, a PDF. You can, inside of Chatbot Kit, you should be able to just drag and drop like a PDF, for example, and then it should be able to be trained off of that. It needs a knowledge base, and just like how ChatGPT is trained on the internet, and then it needs a prompt, similar when you're going to communicate with GPT.
I see.
And then after that, deploy it.
Okay. Also, one question: have you maybe have you had experience with Bubble.io?
Yes, Ideify on that.
Oh, really? Okay.
My software tool has gone a long way, but it's a very powerful no-code app building solution. And in my opinion, the learning curve is very difficult. However, there are a lot of templates that you can get away with that I would personally just recommend hiring like a developer to on top of a template. It would be my biggest recommendation. But personally, like it took me about a year to get used to Bubble. And honestly, yeah, I would definitely say that it's my favorite no code app development software out there because it really is easy once you start to understand how it works. And I'm not the most tech savvy person, but I would highly recommend using Bubble specifically for MVPs. If you just want to whip up like a really quick MVP or like a prototype for like a client, they have very flexible API like integrations that you can integrate. So for example, within my application, it's a content generator. So I had to connect OpenAI, ChatGPT in there. And then we have different AI models depending on what the users choose. We have 3.5 Turbo, 4, 4.0, and even Gemini. There's very flexible APIs. But yeah, essentially, it's good if you want to. What I've seen a lot of people do, and this is actually what I've done, is I've had an agency in the past that I recently exited, and then I transitioned into software. So I essentially used sort of the liquidity and the funds that I saved into software, and I built that software solely from the problems that I've learned dealing with my clients from my agency, because I know that'd be low risk, and it essentially worked. Essentially, like what Ideify is, it was, or what it was in the past, I guess, it was helping small to local businesses generate and produce content. That was a really big problem. And they've heard about ChatGPT. Some of them maybe used it, but it was very difficult to learn how to prompt. It was very difficult to get a good output because you have to provide it with a decent prompt and good information in order to get a good output. And this was the issue that we were focusing on developing our prototype. Inside of Bubble, we built an application that pretty much did that. And then Yeah, for the past year, we've just been fine tuning that. And right now we're working on more complex functions. For example, like inside of Ideify, you can literally export make.com blueprints. And we literally are working on copy and paste. We call them AI solutions, but you can literally copy a scenario, like a complex scenario inside of Make, and then you can paste it inside of make.com. So there's a lot of things that you can do inside of Bubble, and there are very talented developers out there. But if you're looking into that route, there's no other software that I could personally recommend other than Bubble. There are a couple other out there that I haven't honestly tested myself, but I just honestly I've seen what Bubble can do, and I'm really happy with it. Yeah.
And did you like create Ideify yourself? I mean,
Yeah, we did a little bit of both. I hired a developer. I learned a lot myself, trial and error, getting user feedback, and the application just I have my mindset is I'm gonna continue to expect it to break, but I'm just gonna go ahead and fix it. So over and over, constant iteration until a point where we've reduced the amount of like tickets down to maybe 4 or 5 a month. And those are very small like UI user interface issues, and I can just go back and fix. But yeah, originally in the back end, most of it was configured through a developer. And then so I've done some of the back end stuff, but the front end mostly is done by me. Anyways, if I can do it, you can. I'm not tech savvy. I'm like not tech savvy at all. It just takes a while to learn, but once you understand pretty much how it works, it's pretty easy. Yeah.
nice. Also, the question about what are your favorite solutions or I don't know scenarios for Make?
Oh, okay. That's a good
That
question.
may be useful for businesses, for people maybe.
That's a great question. Make.com honestly is really good for it, in my opinion. If you're looking specifically at AI automations, is content generation. I think that's one of the best things that you can do right now. I have a whole list of different like AI solutions that you can have. Like the things that you can do inside of Make it's insane. But yeah, so one that I use with my clients right now is I have an automation that like pulls from reports every single week from a sales team essentially. And every single Monday, I have inside of Notion, it pulls like all the EOD reports, and then it essentially summarizes a recap of the week, right? So it calculates how many leads that we had, how much did our sales team close, right? How much did they close individually, what their commissions were, and it does all the math for me. And then my sales team, every single day they have to submit an EOD report. So this is specifically for a sales team, so I can give you like an idea. Every single day they submit an EOD report. So like how they did, like what happened throughout the day. Essentially every Monday it pulls 7 line items of that, and then I use AI to essentially summarize that. So it uses all the information that they've been submitting on their EOD reports, and then it summarizes, it gives an executive sales summary essentially. So it pulls all that information, makes it useful. And then my workflow is I just report that. I send a screen share and I report that to the business owners, making it look like I did a lot of work, but that only took me about 5 to 10 minutes to record the sales update. So it's like really cool. So that's my favorite scenario right now. I think it's pretty cool, but there are a lot of businesses out there that do have sales teams that can definitely benefit from using a similar system like that essentially collects information. Also the EODs, I call the end of day reports. That's what it stands for. Very important tool in my opinion, working with sales teams, because if a sales rep, for example, like a closer or an appointment setter, doesn't have that sort of like accountability, they don't have like reflection, they don't actually look, they're not like data driven. For example, if you ask an appointment setter, how many meetings did you have today? How many meetings did you book? Or you ask a closer, how much did you close today? And then they look at that every single day or like on a weekly perspective, and they saw that those KPIs on a graph, for example, that's really helpful. Other than that, the EODs is great for a business to collect that information. So all an AI agency is, okay, if you really think about it fundamentally, is looking at a business, seeing what type of information they collect or store, and then asking yourself, how am I going to make that useful? That's it. So that's exactly what my perspective was when helping one of my clients was we're going to build a sales team. We're going to have them collect very valuable information for the business to possess. And then how am I going to make that useful for the business so that they can make better decisions as a result of that? And all I did was create that make.com scenario of every single Monday, it runs on autopilot. It creates reports and sends that to the team. And that can be built in different ways, right? It doesn't have to be built like that. It can be built like it can send all that information in a Slack channel for the whole team to see, right? We can build leaderboards of, oh, this sales rep closed this much. And then you can have an AI automated analysis of all of what that week looks like from like the information that the sales team provided within the last 7 days. And then it can send that on Slack for the whole team to read. So like that in and of itself, transparently, more than quadrupled the business because we started to really focus on KPIs. We really started to focus on that. And that was one scenario. That was literally one scenario. And it's not about what the best scenario is. It's how can this AI solution, how am I going to solve this problem? I honestly, whenever I think of new AI automation or workflow scenarios, I always think of it in the sense of like where the biggest problem is in the business and how can this no code AI software toolkit or whatever, it doesn't even have to be AI. Like, how can this toolkit of softwares that I have available, how can I solve that problem using some of these, the least amount of these softwares as much as possible? And quite frankly, I use for that one specifically, make.com and Notion. That's it. And obviously the OpenAI API plugin. Those are 3 softwares that made a really big difference in that business. And that opens up Pandora's box for sure. But that's typically whenever I think about it, if you're an AI agency, honestly, you want to, again, look at it in the perspective of an AI, right? An AI is only smart when it collects information. We have to do that as well too with these businesses, right? So when we're on calls with discovery calls, when we're communicating with the business, we always have to listen to see what they're doing, or we always have to we have to essentially like fine tune ourselves and we have to collect information from the business to really identify where those biggest opportunity levers are in the business. And again, these scenarios, the funny thing is like the ones that are the most effective are the ones that are the most simple. Honestly, it's not this complex make.com scenario with like 100 different API connectors. Like literally, it's like the one that I just talked about, I think had 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So like that's like the perspective on it that I have now. It's more of it's simplicity over the complexity aspect of it. And yeah, a couple other honorable mentions as well too that I personally like is you can build like a pretty sweet, you can call it like we call it unlimited content ecosystem. Inside of Make, you can also repurpose content. For example, like LinkedIn posts directly to Twitter. You can Google ad spend based on the budget, automate any sort of post scheduling. You can publish like blog articles into any social media post using ChatGPT. Again, since it is trained off of information, that's like something that you can do as well too. You can, if you're helping a business, like there's just so many things you can do. You can summarize meetings and notify your team. So for example, if you can get access to a meeting transcription, you can create an automation that uses all of that to essentially summarize in using 11 Labs and like OpenAI, and then just send a Slack notification to an entire team. But there's a lot that you can do really. But yeah, like you shouldn't be shopping for the business. So here's another perspective that I've recently learned is that you shouldn't be like shopping for make.com scenarios or templates or like figuring out, oh, I think this is going to be valuable, or this is going to be, oh yeah, you can automate emails. Start from a problem. Start from what is the biggest problem that this business is currently facing. And then also like when you zoom into that, you want to look at it in this sense, right? What information are they collecting, or what information do they currently have? Right? Then you want to look at the process. What is the process of that information transferring over to like people, or like transferring to, let's just say like an online database, for example? And then how do you make that information useful, and then distribute that to the people and teams so that they can have better decisions? I think the biggest thing, honestly, is how can you help that business make better decisions? And I will say 99 times out of 10, they just don't have enough data. Typically, businesses don't have enough data to actually make good decisions, right? So this is why AI agencies are here, is so that we can essentially help them collect data and then like augment their I guess decision-making department, if that makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
makes sense.
That's like my take on it. But does that all make sense? Does that all make sense? Or
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Everything, yeah, what you say.
awesome, man. Awesome.
Thank you. And maybe some cases, but you already told about this solution when you made use of this chatbot kit.
Yeah.
For the companies. Maybe you have some cases that you would like to share. Interesting.
Yeah. So are you saying tips? Some tips on
Yeah.
a lot of like local businesses? Like if you help small to medium-sized local businesses, like I'm talking about like the dentists, the chiropractors, the law firms, those are like like we've seen in the agency space, those are the easiest people to contact and deliver results for. So that's the low-hanging fruit. And for a lot of people starting out, like their business, their online business, it's just a numbers game, right? So the more that you do outreach, the more that you're able to get on calls, and the more that you're able to get on calls, the more likely you are to close on those clients, and more likely you are to close those clients, the more that you're able to build like a pretty lucrative business, right? So specifically to answer your question, if you were to build a chatbot, like a very simple like website chatbot that's trained on websites information, and you're able to deploy that on pretty much any website, or you could even have different offers where you can sell them as add-ons. For example, it's like, oh, you want this on your website? Cool. This is just going to be included. But if you want this on WhatsApp, Slack, Discord, all these other different deployment options, you can sell that as a potential upsell. And the cool thing is it's literally the same bot. So you're going to be making more money on the fact on distribution or deployment, their deployment options, and then you're able to do that. But to answer your question, like the biggest tip that I have is you want to look at a business that's able to get enough website traffic. Because for example, if like a website's only getting like 25 visitors a month, it really doesn't make sense to do that, because you want to focus on, I call it ROI based. You want to have an ROI based AI adoption solution, right? And you want to be able to make sure that this chatbot is actually being used by like their customers. This is why I think B2E is so easy to sell. And personally, I think doing B2E or B2B sales is actually a lot easier, because you can just go directly to like their team and be like, hey, how can I make this useful? Like the thing is, typically like businesses already have, like, they're sitting on a good amount of data, but they just don't know how to make it useful yet. And honestly, I would say most of these companies aren't doing anything about it based on what I've seen. To answer your question, yeah, small to local businesses are great. If you want to work your way up and focus on like medium to, I guess, like enterprises as well too, or like larger businesses that are doing anywhere from 1 to 3 mil a year, typically you want to look for teams and departments. And I will say the more tech savvy they are, the more that they're able to retain as clients, because they actually see the value in technology. And if they're able to see the value in technology, they're able to see the value in AI. And if they're able to see the value in AI and you're actually providing a good solution, they're going to be your client for a very long time.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then like when you're overwhelmed with your clients and you have so many clients and you don't have any bandwidth in order to bring on a new client, but that like you're really sitting on a gold mine here, that's when you transition in the software, like how I did, so that you're able to service more people, but at a lower cost, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the game, man. That's the game.
Okay.
That's the game.
Also, maybe what are your favorite services, like AI services, except Make, ChatGPT, or what else?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. A lot of most of my solutions are either going to be through my own software. So to answer your question, I guess Bubble, because that's just like the software. That's just like it doesn't require service delivery. So that's my favorite one. Inside of make.com, it requires a little bit more complex APIs and stuff like that. I do, as I said, yeah, that sales workflow automation really worked well for me. And then with ChatGPT, honestly, I'm a big enthusiast of it, but I have seen, and honestly, I tell my clients like use ChatGPT. I don't tell them to use my software. I'm like, if again, if you want to use ChatGPT, if you want to use Anthropic's Claude, if you want to use Google Gemini, use it. It's great. But most of them are going to be like, I don't know what to type. It's like looking at a blank document. Let's write a 5-paragraph essay, and it's just they don't know where to. They don't know how this model is different than the other. They're just going to type something in. They don't provide enough information. So that's when I'm a little bit more lenient on Ideafy. Comes with, it's pre-prompted already. You just have to fill in the information within Ideafy. Then you're going to get a really good response in the next couple of seconds. That's my personal favorite, and a lot of businesses really like it. But inside of make.com, I would say make.com, Zapier's under the umbrella too, and n8n.io as well. That one's really advanced, but you can do a lot more. Those are going to be more of like I would say you want to take the approach of like customization here. Customization is an important one, and then also creativity, right? So yeah, to answer your question, those are like my favorite ones that have been really working for me so far.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, did I answer all your questions?
Yeah, you answered like a lot of questions.
I did my job. I'm excited, man. Do you have any more for me? I want to pick your brain on how I can grow this school community, if you don't mind.
Regarding school community,
yeah, what are some of the main things that you've taken away or learned from the AI Academy? I'm curious.
actually, what was interesting for me, I went through this classroom. Yeah, in classroom.
Yeah.
You have these lessons, and then I watched this video, like the half of it, of the long video, where you explain about why it's better to run like AI, to work with AI services, and to run AI agency. And it's really good video. I like saved it because I have small like children. I couldn't watch it through at one sitting, but I have to complete it.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have this table like where you explain, compare different types of businesses like drop shipping and other, and from different perspectives, and why AI agency like is providing AI powered services is the better solution.
Absolutely. And what do you think makes learning about AI difficult?
What makes learning about AI difficult? I think because there are a lot of solutions really, and a lot of dynamics going on every week. Something happens, something changed, and you have to keep up with, and you have this pressure, to learn, and you have a lot of things to study, and maybe you have to prioritize or just understand what are the best AI solutions there, and what are the core like solutions. Probably, as we are discussing, we are speaking about ChatGPT, of course, prompting, this make, maybe such kind of things, and you have to understand what are the key services which you should start with.
100%. 100%. And how do you think we can make our community better at giving value and like using feedback to improve?
I think that you did this YouTube video, this long form. If you continue with providing this quality content, like in video format, like on YouTube, you will attract, with time, you will attract a lot of people who will watch your videos, and they will become interested, and they will come to your community.
Right on. That's the goal.
Yeah, when there are a lot of people in the community, then the dynamics there starts, people communicate. And if you also maybe write a lot of courses on the inside community, maybe short, but more different models on different teams, it will also attract people, because you can tease people on YouTube or in maybe ads or somewhere that we have such topics covered in our community. Join.
Yeah. 100%. Absolutely. Here's one of my favorite questions that I like to ask people in this community is, can you tell me a time when it was hard to explain AI to a business or a client or maybe a friend? because we all go through that as well.
Yeah, usually the one question that I get several times when trying to explain AI, people say, "What is the difference? We have Google."
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, we can look for information on Google. The people who are not into these things, they do not understand that AI actually it's the next step. It's interactive and it can be tailored to your context.
yeah,
Yeah, to your life context or business context. And whereas to the search engines or such kind of like solutions, they cannot do this.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's always a funny conversation to have with like departments or teams or really just like, and even business owners that I have these conversations with. And they're like, they have very like a surface level understanding of what it can do. And like, it's funny when you are like an AI agency I call it an AI enabler. When you enable AI in a business, it's like we are in a world of a lot of technicality, a lot of specificity, and then also a lot of I call it techno babble essentially. So it's really difficult to sell businesses, and I'm gonna focus on making a course on AI sales. If you're an AI agency, if you're a freelancer, how do you sell AI to a business
That's a
so
good
that
question.
they
Yeah,
say
that's
yes?
a good idea.
Yeah, I'm working on a course on that. It's going to be under AI agencies and enablers, but that's a really important thing because a common thing that I have seen in the community, they're like, okay, yes, I have the AI solution. The solutions are out there, but like, how can I get a business to understand how this works? And guess what? The business knows more than anything else is the problem that they're dealing with. So as you mentioned with an AI agency or the people, you have to be fluid. It's dynamic. You have to know how to like use tools and make it actually work to solve problems for the business. That's something that I think a lot of people in this space don't understand. So they're gonna try selling this really complex make scenario, and then they're just gonna confuse the hell out of these people. Sorry, excuse my language, but they're gonna confuse the business owners, and the business owners are gonna be like, "Thank you for all this free information. I don't even know what make.com is." They're like, "What even is this thing?" So from my personal experience, the best way of demoing is by doing them. And honestly, it really goes to show, for example, with Ideify, it's like when we're walking people through a demo, doing like an actual screen share, doing an actual awesome. So here's this tool that's going to be the most useful for you. And then I help them fill in the information, right? If I'm sitting right next to them or I'm on a phone call, and then actually go through it and then hit generate. They're going to get the result. And then and then we ask them, my sales reps are going to ask them, would this be useful for you? And then that's when they think, wow, wait, and this is when they connect the dots. Then they're going to say, oh, wait, so you're telling me that my copywriter or my social media manager can use this to generate more blog posts, more articles, more Twitter posts, and all I have to do is just buy this thing that costs $49 a month, and then they're going to produce more for me. That's really cool. So that's how you sell the AI. It's not like the techno babble and the stuff like that that confuses people. And this is what I think this community really is leaning towards. And a lot of people are asking me, they're like, how do you actually sell AI to these businesses? And inside of my YouTube video, I actually explain the framework. I use the closer framework. If you look into that YouTube video, I believe sales is, let me see, it's 1 hour and 7 minutes in. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. But I think that if you're building any sort of business, there are certain things that you can't skip. Basic business fundamentals and principles are something that I think a lot of these AI agencies are missing because they think that I'm just going to jump to the next opportunity and dismiss all the things that I've learned by running an agency, and they're going to make the same mistakes. And I've seen that over and over again. And that's something that I think is quite ubiquitous and quite prevalent in this space. But it's a funny
Yeah,
comment.
actually, yeah, you made a very good point. It's not about frightening your potential client with these technical terms like things, but it's better to speak on his level, I
Exactly.
mean, on his language, and his language is about the problems which his business has.
Mhm.
So you start from there, yeah.
I think if you were to focus on solving a problem and only focus on that, it makes your job so much easier because Literally, like, a client only knows the problems that they're dealing with. And like that, yeah, that's going to be the most important thing when running really any business, not just an AI agency, not just even if you're a brick and mortar. It's understand, it's like it's treating your customers like your clients. I say take that same principle and apply it to pretty much everything that you do. But yeah, that was a big proponent for me personally. And the more like problems, and the thing is, like you talked about bubble.io, that when you're thinking about building a software, you can't build a software around like you don't, you want to refer. So make.com is really good for customization, right? Building customized scenarios that are tailored to these businesses. But if you're going to venture into like Bubble or Framer or whatever application, it's like you want to see a pattern and then you want to draw a line between all those patterns. That line is your software. So for example, if you're talking to a lot of clients and they're like, oh, why this client is dealing with the same issue as this one and this one. Oh, this is a big problem in the industry. Run with software. That's when a software company is made. So I really believe personally, I hope I'm not getting off topic here, but I really believe in an AI agency and then software, like the bridge between that. I think an AI agency is really good for collecting cash, like getting consistent cash flow in and building a lucrative business. But let me tell you, it's very hard actually selling an agency. No one wants to, no one's really shopping around for agencies, right? It's way easier selling a software, even if you're an MVP inside a bubble, right? So typically what I've seen a lot of people do in this space is build an agency, get it to a revenue metric of, let's just say 6 figures a month, and then they transition to software using what they've learned from the agency, right? Using all the problem, they've collected all this information and then they've seen all these patterns, and then they transition to software. And let me tell you about software is that you're able, if you're able to actually solve that problem at a fraction of the cost that you're charging at the agency, and your service delivery quite literally is the software, and you're able to innovate and then and actually grow your clientele base at a lower cost, that is what I call market domination. And like you can, yes, you can technically build an agency, charge high ticket, and you're going to come across a bottleneck because you're dealing with a bunch of service delivery. This is when bubble.io comes in, and you're really start to dominate here. But that's the game, honestly. That's what I think. That's where the wealth is generated, honestly. It's building cash reserves from an agency or doing freelance work, transitioning to, and it can start small too. Like you don't have to build a software company. You could build a tool. You can build a little tool that solves a lot of problems and then scale that tool using, for example, like user generated content or like running paid ads. There's a lot of different ways to scale software. And then again, once you do that, like we've seen the people like on Gadget, he shut down his agency, went all in on software. Jordan Welch did the same thing. Alex Becker did the same thing. It's like, why are all these people getting in software? Because it's more scalable, and also you're able to sell it for multiples. I don't even think you can even sell an agency for a 1x multiple at this point. Why? It's because if I were to buy someone's agency, I'd have to deal with staff. I'd have to deal with overhead. Yes, I get their clients, but I'm going to have to deal with all this stuff. And I don't know if the agency is going to lose 100% of the clients the next month, because I don't know why they're staying with this agency versus like a software. It's recurring. Recurring. Yeah, the best part about software is the exit multiple, and the reason why software has like a 10 to 15x exit multiple compared to like other businesses is because of LTV, lifetime value, is multiplied because it is recurring. So it's funny when you say exit multiple 10 to 12 or 10 to 15, and in between 10 to 15 is 12. There's 12 months in a year, right? That's why softwares are able to sell for more, because the LTV is stretched out, right? So that should always be your end goal whenever you're building your agency, is to, and here's another tip as well, is to look for those problems, look for the patterns, and then eventually once you're going to venture in a bubble, be like, okay, how am I going to build this software around the patterns of problems that I've seen? And then you just do it yourself or pay a developer to build that. But
yeah, great point.
Last question. How do you think AI will change businesses in the future?
It's, I think nobody can predict this, but there is a saying that AI is the last invention of humanity.
Yeah.
I don't know, a million times more powerful brain, artificial brain. So you just can't imagine how far it can go.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. And what skills should we learn now to be ready for these changes? That's my last question.
It's like, I mean, it's evident you have to learn how to work with AI.
Mhm. You have to learn how to communicate with it, right?
Yeah, how to communicate and how to use it.
Absolutely. We're in a really good position right now because working with future technology that's guaranteed to change the entire world, honestly. There's two ways that you can go about it. You can either spectate or you could be a participant. And obviously, we both are participants in this space. And as long as we're continue to develop and focus on problem solving, we're in a really good position. Really
Yeah,
know about it, but
it's
right on.
it's like with internet, maybe you don't want to deal with internet in the early phase, but
Yeah.
in the end, you just have no choice but
Yep.
to learn. So it will be the same with AI. It's
Exactly.
better to learn it in the early phase and then
Yep.
be
Learn,
the first to learn.
learn and apply. It's a
Yeah,
constant cycle of learn, apply, learn, apply, learn, apply. Right.
yeah.
But great, great. Well, I appreciate you showing up to this coaching call today, Rustem. I really hope that it was valuable for the project that you're currently building. But yeah, that about wraps up this call. I'll go ahead and I'll actually post this recording into our community resources so that you
Okay.
can refer back to the conversation. I know I said a lot, but you can skip through that video. But other than that, Rustem, do you have any other questions before we part ways?
Maybe if you can send me like this, what we talked about, because it is interesting for me because I was looking for this chatbot kit, some info maybe for it. I will be grateful.
Absolutely. I'll send you the recording of this, and then I have this AI plugin called fireflies.ai, and it transcribed this whole conversation. It'll actually be emailed to you right after this call. So
Okay, thank you very much.
awesome. Thanks, Rustem. I'll talk to you later, and then I'll keep you updated. I'll message you inside of school once it's fully uploaded.
Okay, thank you. See you.
Alrighty.